Marcus Chun sat in the sterile waiting room of Hartwell Industries, his worn briefcase resting on his trembling knees. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, he could see the city sprawling below, a vast sea of gleaming skyscrapers, bustling streets, and distant parks bathed in the pale winter sunlight. It was a world full of opportunities that always seemed just out of reach for him. His daughter's voice echoed in his mind from that morning. "Good luck, Daddy. I know you'll get it this time." At 7 years old, Emma believed in him with a faith that both warmed his heart and terrified him. What she didn't know was that this was his last interview, his final chance before the eviction notice on their small apartment became reality. The weight of single parenthood pressed down on his shoulders like an invisible mountain. And today, that mountain felt ready to crush him completely. The past 18 months had been a relentless blur of rejection letters, missed opportunities, and sleepless nights spent staring at the ceiling, worrying about bills piling up on the kitchen table. After his wife, Sarah, passed away from cancer, Marcus had become both mother and father to Emma. He juggled her grief and his own, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy while keeping their modest home and putting food on the table. His previous job as a mid-level marketing manager at a mid-sized firm had vanished overnight during a brutal round of company downsizing. Re-entering the workforce had proven nearly impossible in a market that favored fresh graduates or those without complications. Every interviewer he faced saw the glaring gaps in his resume, the quiet desperation in his eyes, and inevitably moved on to younger, less burdened candidates. Marcus had polished his explanations, rehearsed his smiles, but the story was always the same. Sympathy followed by polite rejection. But today felt different. Hartwell Industries was hiring for a community outreach coordinator, a position that seemed tailor-made for his skills and experience. He'd spent years organizing local events, partnering with nonprofits, and building bridges between businesses and communities in his old role. For 2 weeks, he'd prepared meticulously, rehearsing answers late into the night while Emma slept in the next room, researching the company until his eyes burned from the glow of his ancient laptop screen. This had to work. It simply had to. Marcus Chen, a sharp-looking woman in her 40s, appeared in the doorway, clipboard in hand.
"I'm Patricia Hartwell."
"Please follow me." Marcus stood quickly, straightening his second-hand suit jacket, the only one he owned, bought from a thrift store and meticulously pressed the night before. Patricia Hartwell, not just an interviewer, but the CEO herself. His heart hammered in his chest as he followed her down a long corridor lined with framed photos of community initiatives. Children planting trees in urban parks, employees volunteering at food banks, charitable galas with smiling faces. Maybe this company really was different, he thought, a flicker of optimism cutting through his anxiety. They entered a spacious office with views matching the waiting room's panoramic windows. Patricia gestured to a comfortable chair across from her desk and sat down, reviewing his resume one last time. The interview started well enough. Marcus spoke confidently about his vision for community engagement, ideas for partnering with local schools, organizing employee volunteer days, and creating sustainable programs that addressed urban poverty and education gaps. He'd drawn from his own life experiences, subtly weaving in how personal challenges had deepened his empathy for those in need. Patricia listened intently, nodding occasionally, her expression unreadable but attentive. Then came the question that always arrived, the one he'd learned to dread like an inevitable storm cloud. "I see a significant gap in your employment history. Can you explain that?" Marcus took a deep breath, steadying his voice. "My wife passed away from cancer 18 months ago. I'm raising our 7-year-old daughter alone, and I took time to ensure she had the stability and support she needed during that difficult transition." Patricia's expression softened slightly, a hint of genuine sympathy in her eyes, but she pressed on professionally. "And childcare arrangements? This position requires occasional evening events and weekend commitments." "I have a neighbor who helps when needed," Marcus said, which was technically true. Mrs. Rodriguez, the kindly elderly woman next door, watched Emma occasionally, though her arthritis made it unreliable at best. "I'm fully committed to this role. Family is my priority, but I've managed it successfully in the past, and I can do so again." Patricia nodded, jotting notes. The conversation shifted to specifics, budget management, event planning, metrics for success. Marcus felt a cautious hope building. He was hitting all the right notes. Then his phone vibrated in his pocket. He ignored it at first, but it buzzed again and again. "I apologize, but I need to check this," he said, pulling it out discreetly. 7 missed calls from Emma's school. His hands shook as he opened the text from her teacher. "Emma fell during recess. Possible broken arm. She's been taken to the ER at St. Mary's. Need parent immediately." The room tilted. Blood rushed in his ears. Marcus stood abruptly, the chair scraping harshly against the polished floor. "I'm so sorry. My daughter's been taken to the emergency room. I have to go." Patricia stood as well, her professional mask firmly in place. "I understand. We'll be in touch." But Marcus barely heard her. He was already moving toward the door, mind racing through impossible logistics. The hospital copay he couldn't afford, mounting medical bills on top of everything else. Missing this interview meant losing this job, which meant losing the apartment, which meant failing Emma completely. But none of that mattered right now. Emma needed him, and she would always come first. Even if it cost him everything, he punched the elevator button repeatedly, cursing its slowness under his breath. When the doors finally opened, he rushed inside, jabbing the lobby button. And that's when he heard footsteps running behind him. "Wait, Mr. Chun. Please wait." Marcus turned to see Patricia Hartwell hurrying down the hallway, heels clicking rapidly on the marble floor. Slightly breathless, her professional composure cracked just a fraction. She held out his briefcase, which he'd abandoned in the office in his panic. "You forgot this," she said, pressing it into his hands. Then she surprised him completely. "Which hospital?" "St. Mary's. But I don't. My car is faster than whatever you're planning. Come on." Before Marcus could process what was happening, Patricia was striding toward the executive elevator, gesturing for him to follow. Minutes later, they were in her sleek silver Mercedes, weaving through downtown traffic with surprising urgency. Horns blared as she changed lanes expertly, her hands steady on the wheel. "You don't have to do this," Marcus said, gripping the door handle tightly. "I've already blown the interview." "You didn't blow anything," Patricia replied firmly, her eyes fixed on the road. "You showed me exactly who you are. Now tell me about Emma." Somehow, in that car racing toward the hospital, Marcus found himself opening up. He talked about Sarah's final months, the hospital vigils, the chemo sessions that drained her strength, the quiet moments when she'd whisper promises to Emma about watching over her. He described Emma's nightmares in the weeks after the funeral, how she'd wake up crying for mommy, and how he'd hold her until she fell asleep again. He spoke of the juggling act, school drop-offs, grocery runs on a tight budget, bedtime stories read through exhausted tears. Patricia listened without interruption or judgment, occasionally nodding, her jaw set with quiet determination. They reached St. Mary's in record time, Patricia pulling up directly to the emergency entrance with a screech of tires. "Go," she said. "I'll park and find you." Marcus ran into the ER, heart pounding, breath coming in gasps. At the desk, he blurted out Emma's name, and a nurse directed him to Bay 7. Pulling back the curtain, he found his daughter sitting on the examination table, her left arm temporarily splinted, tear tracks staining her pale cheeks. She looked so small and vulnerable in the oversized hospital gown. The moment she saw him, her brave facade crumbled. "Daddy!" He wrapped her in his arms carefully, mindful of her injury, breathing in the familiar strawberry scent of her shampoo. "I'm here, baby. I'm right here. You're so brave." Emma clung to him, sobs shaking her little body. "It hurts, Daddy. I fell off the monkey bars." "I know, sweetheart. The doctors will fix it. You're going to be okay." The doctor arrived shortly, a kind-faced woman who examined the arm gently. "It's a clean fracture of the radius. We'll need to set it and apply a cast. No surgery required, but she'll need to keep it immobile for about 6 weeks." As the doctor explained treatment plans, follow-up appointments, and pain management, Marcus felt the familiar panic rising like bile in his throat. How would he pay for this? Their insurance from his old job had lapsed, and the emergency visit alone would wipe out his meager savings. But then, Patricia Hartwell appeared in the doorway, composed once more but with a softness in her eyes. Emma's gaze widened in awe. "Is that a princess?" she whispered, staring at Patricia's elegant business attire and poised demeanor. Patricia smiled, a genuine, warm smile that transformed her sharp features. She approached the bed slowly, not wanting to overwhelm the child. Emma, I'm Patricia, a friend of your dad's. That's quite an adventure you had today." "Huh." Emma nodded shyly, wiping her tears with her good hand. "I fell. It really hurts. I broke my arm once when I was your age," Patricia said, pulling up a chair. "Fell off my bike trying to do a wheelie. I cried buckets, but then I got a cool cast and all my friends signed it. Want to hear a silly story about it?" For the next hour, while the doctors prepared to set Emma's arm and apply the cast, Patricia stayed. She distracted Emma with tales from her childhood, exaggerated stories of tree-climbing mishaps and playground dares that had Emma giggling despite the pain. She made funny faces, told knock-knock jokes that were adorably bad, and somehow turned the sterile, frightening Air Bay into a place that felt a little less scary. Marcus watched in stunned amazement as this powerful CEO, who should have been back in her office conducting board meetings or interviews, sat on a plastic hospital chair, holding his daughter's good hand and coaxing smiles from her. When the procedure was done and Emma sported a bright purple cast, her favorite color, chosen with a triumphant grin, the paperwork arrived. Bills, forms, payment discussions. Patricia quietly intercepted the clipboard from the nurse. "The company has an excellent health insurance policy," she told Marcus in a low voice. "Consider this part of your benefits package. We'll cover it all." "But I don't have the job," Marcus protested weakly, his voice thick with emotion. Patricia met his eyes steadily. "Yes, you do, if you still want it." Marcus couldn't speak past the lump in his throat. Emma, however, had no such restraint. "Daddy, you got the job. I knew you would." Later, after Emma had fallen asleep in the back seat of Patricia's car on the way home, hopped up on mild pain medication and sheer exhaustion, Patricia helped Marcus carry her upstairs to their modest apartment. She didn't bat an eye at the peeling wallpaper in the hallway, the threadbare carpet, or the secondhand furniture inside. She simply assisted gently, helping tuck Emma into her bed with its faded unicorn sheets.